welcome everybody to round number 1 of the brand new Formula 1 season, and we're here at Bahrain for the Bahrain Grand Prix, race 1 of 14. Potentially, because all of the news coming out of the FIA today is that calendar may actually be extended. If you watched the pre-season video last week, you would have seen that we are on a 14 race calendar as it's been reduced down from 16 to 14. However, the FIA have said that more races could be added to the season if the teams agree to do so. So far, we know that 3 circuits have bidded to join the 14 race calendar, which is fine with the teams. However, there's still a little bit that needs to be settled. Christian Horner and Toto Wolff have both want answers with regards to extra races, and they're not the only ones that have spoken up about it, but these were the first 2 to fully actually speak up to the media regarding this. Now, to try and clear things up, the FIA decided to reduce the race calendar from 16 down to 14. However, there were circuits that weren't able to get onto the calendar, but are still desperate to do so, and the attraction is still there in the countries to actually produce the Grand Prix races. So far, we know that the front runners are Russia, Abu Dhabi, Spain, and now also Azerbaijan have also popped up onto the list. And however, only 3 of those circuits have made official bids, so one of those hasn't made a bid yet. The major concern with regards to the teams with having an extra 2 races is, of course, resources. Teams have got all these parts, all these engines, all these gearboxes and everything to last the 14 races. If they are going to jump it back up to 16, they're going to need extra resources to comply with another 2 Formula 1 races. So teams are asking for this to be settled as soon as possible, as really they can't afford to spend too long on it. Now, as we go and switch away from the breaking news and have a look at the race news heading into the Bahrain Grand Prix, first things first, both McLaren and Mercedes have found the pace that they were missing in pre-season testing. We saw that both these 2 teams were struggling a little bit in testing, specifically McLaren, but as we went in towards practice today, McLaren and Mercedes both looked extremely fast as they were obviously last season. One team that was a surprise though was Ferrari. They were well off the pace in Bahrain, especially in FP1. They were nowhere. They had no qualifying pace, no race pace, and it was something that was a real concern for the Scuderia. What wasn't a concern though was down at Renault. They were really happy with their qualifying pace. Their race pace lacked a little bit compared to Mercedes, McLaren and Red Bull, but overall, Renault were in the mix with the top 3 teams, the Mercedes, Red Bull and McLaren. So they were on high spirits, especially Daniel Ricciardo. But that is all of the race news. That's all of the breaking news. Let's get into round number 1 for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxy298 here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel, and we are here for round number 1 of season 4 of the F1 journey, and I cannot wait to get going with this series once again. If you do enjoy the video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet subscribed already. And without further ado, let's get straight on into it here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. And as you can see, our first qualifying lap is just a banker lap. We are doing short qualifying with 50% races, if you're unaware of how this series works. Short qualifying, obviously, if I did full qualifying, it would break the mod. And then also, if you did one-shot qualifying again, you'll break it. So don't try those. But anyway, our first lap was not impressive. Our second lap as well wasn't overly impressive either. So we went out and we did a third run. We did lots of runs, actually, in qualifying to get a feel for the cars. We come across the line here. This time around, though, it is P3 and just under about nearly half a second shy of the fastest man, which I believe is Reese at this moment in time, as we set our lap then. This is then our final qualifying lap here. We had a bit of a screen freeze there on the entry, towards the last corner. But as we come up towards the start-finish line then, you can see as we come towards the grid, it is P6 for us. So it wasn't the best qualifying session in the world, but at the end of the day, P6 is what we will take heading into the race. And obviously, we're still trying to get used to F1 2018. I don't know if you guys are aware, but obviously 2019, the language files are unavailable to actually be used. So obviously everything that has been done is done on F1 2018, not 2019. But it's a Mercedes front row lockout with Sam in third ahead as Daniel Ricciardo in P4 in the Renault. 5 and 6 is then the 2 Red Bulls, and then obviously we sandwich the other Renault car, Hamilton, in 8th. The 2 Ferraris there, very far down the order, P10 and P12 only. So obviously we knew that they were going to be off the pace here in Bahrain, but we were hoping that they could recover the pace, but clearly not. But Having a look then at the race itself, we're going to be doing a two-stop strategy. So we're going to be starting on the super soft tyres and then taking 2 stops onto the soft tyres to get us to the end of the race. And obviously, again, if you want to comment on my tyres, obviously we're on 2018 and obviously we're in the F1 Journeyland. So we ain't changed those tyre rules just yet, but we've got 5 red lights to finally start this series, and we are underway then. It's lights out, and away we go for the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's been a good start for Reese at the front. Meanwhile, George Russell trying to defend his position against Sam as we go in towards the first corner. Have a little look here on Daniel Ricciardo trying to find a way through. We do actually get past our teammate Vettel there and get a good run on the exit versus Daniel Ricciardo hiding in his slipstream, but unfortunately, obviously, Ricciardo has got the slipstream here on Sam. He goes towards the inside up towards turn 4. We're going to go around the outside here. Bit of contact there between Ricciardo and Sam, and that allows us to just swoop around the outside, take the position up into 3rd place then. Phenomenal start already, and it's just the 2 Mercedes cars now in front of us there, but Sam clearly getting compromised by that tap from Daniel Ricciardo, so he'll be pretty angry about that one, that it's cost him potentially another place versus myself. As we now head on to the end of the first lap here, that you can see though, Sam is very much on the back foot, but now he's coming onto the front foot here, and he's already putting the pressure on me now as we go onto the start-finish straight here. And as you can see, here is the McLaren tucking into my slipstream, and then he goes over towards the inside line of the circuit. I give Sam a little bit of a shove over towards the other side of the circuit, but you can just see there that how fast that McLaren is in a straight line. Still clearly hasn't lost any of its straight line performance from last year, when obviously the McLaren was by far the quickest in, well, pretty much every single area. But clearly, as you can see, the Mercedes 1 and 2 flying off into the distance. And it's going to take a little bit now to try and catch them up here, but maybe that's what we can do if we stay in the slipstream though. On to lap 2 to start lap 3 of the Grand Prix, and the progress that we made at the start of the race seems to have hindered a little bit here, because now we've got Daniel Ricciardo all over the back of us here as resets the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:30.9, and now here comes Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault this time around, so we're starting to fall backwards here in this Grand Prix. Here comes Ricciardo though, he goes towards the inside line again, gonna give him a tight old squeeze. I nearly go into the back of Sam there, and up his bumhole really, which I didn't really want to do, so I had to take a little bit of evasive action, but by kind of going wide, it actually helped me in a way, so it's not all doom and gloom in that situation. But further back though, we're gonna have a look at my teammate here on lap 4 of the Grand Prix. He's fighting away with Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix, and you can see there is Sam, there is myself, and there is Ricciardo, and this is Vettel here trying to find his way past Lewis Hamilton. These two have had plenty of scraps before. We remember when Vettel and Hamilton were going for it back at their former teams, McLaren and Red Bull, and this time around Lewis Hamilton stayed in front of Sebastian Vettel, but 1 lap later Vettel might have a little look here at Lewis Hamilton, but he's going to have to focus on behind because he's got Nico Rosberg in the Porsche that goes breezing past. So Vettel dropping backwards in this Grand Prix as Rosberg gets very close to the back of Lewis Hamilton there, but it's not going to work for him as there goes Devon Butler up the inside of his teammate Valtteri Bottas there. So good overtake from Devon to make the position stick there as we've got one of the Williams cars there going up the inside of the Jaguar car there, which is pretty bad for the Jaguar. I will just quickly mention it out there as well. There is a bug with the Williams car, and I've changed the numbers on the Williams, but it's not working, so you'll still see 63 on that Williams car, which is a pain in the backside, but it's something I can't seem to fix at the moment. But meanwhile, though, we're now going to try and focus here. We've got DRS on Sam, but Ricciardo's got the DRS on us here. Now we're going to go towards the inside line here, or well, the inside of Sam, outside of Ricciardo, squeeze over towards the right-hand side of the circuit, make a beautiful overtake there, whilst under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo. Hamilton there tries to make the overtake on Rosberg, and he does so, and now that is going to be Vettel trying to pressurize Rosberg as we're under pressure from Ricciardo, fending that one off quite nicely. Vettel and Rosberg though going at it here as they go in towards turn 4 now. It looks like Sebastian Vettel just has the edge there on the exit 4, but Rosberg comes back at him in the Porsche now and going through the middle sector here. Nothing to separate the two of them here. Number 6 and number 5 of Vettel and Nico Rosberg, but as you can see, Vettel holds it through the high-speed section, taking that inside line, and he's pretty much all going to have that one done and dusted. But Rosberg again still holding on to that position versus Sebastian Vettel. Now in towards turn 10, Vettel goes wide onto the curb and loses out in that format, and he's actually lost another place there to Esteban Ocon. So fair play to my teammate there for fighting hard against Nico Rosberg, but it has cost him a place there. Lap 6 now of the Grand Prix. We're going to be coming in for our first stop of the Grand Prix, and you can see that we're still making some gains on George Russell as we go very wide there. Screen freeze on the exit did compromise me. I actually forgot how many screen freezes you get in F1 2018. F1 2019 is fine. Literally, I hardly get screen freezes on 2019. 2018 is screen freeze fest.
I'm telling you. But we're coming in, we're going to fit the soft tyres on, and we get those on now, and we're going to be back out again in front of the Renault of Ricciardo and in front of the McLaren of Sam. And you can see that is George Russell there. So he's not that far in front, actually, if you think about it, despite the fact Mercedes have been dominating pretty much from start to now, really. But you can see that as we go a little bit wide on the exit, carrying a bit too much speed into turn 1 there. That's going to cost us some time versus George Russell. And unfortunately, Daniel Ricciardo, in this stage of the Grand Prix, seems to have been able to have warmed up his tyres a lot better than we ever did. And now he's right on the back of us here. And with the DRS and the power of that Renault, which has been very, very strong at the moment, he just breezes past us there. And that is an easy overtake for him, as we've got one of the Williams cars. I think that's Lando Norris there, going up the inside of George Russell, trying to retake the position there. So fair play to the Williams car, but I think he's going to get shoved aside. But unfortunately, that's no good for us. We don't get past Ricciardo. And that Williams and the Mercedes are still fighting up towards turn 4. You can just see them up front there. It is Lando Norris, and George Russell is going to go around the outside. Will he make this one stick? Yes, he does. So George Russell gets himself up into 7th place now. Meanwhile, we've dropped to 9th as Ricciardo gets back in front of us. But we get a great run through this middle sector here. And we're going to set ourselves up for an attack on Ricciardo. Nice screen freezes. We're in the middle of that. That terrified me, but we still got the position done anyway on Ricciardo. Back in front of him, and we've got, actually, he's lost a bit of time there. So now if we can try and get past Lando Norris quickly, we should then be able to get a car's gap between myself and Ricciardo, and that'll limit the pressure. And now, as you can see here, Lando Norris, who was expected to sign for BMW, did so, and obviously now is in a Williams car all of a sudden. Not what he would have expected or wanted, but unfortunately for Lando, we are going to go around the outside there, making a very easy overtake, and now we do have a car's gap between myself and Daniel Ricciardo. And speaking of that car's gap, you can see that Norris just came into the pits on the end of that lap, and it's not going to work out well for Sam. Both of them have got DRS on myself here, so Ricciardo will be slightly better off in this attack, but Sam goes towards the outside line here versus Daniel Ricciardo, and now up towards turn 2. Unfortunately for Sam, he just didn't quite wasn't able to make that overtake stick. Now on to lap 9 of the Grand Prix, and the pace is actually getting very good in this middle stint. I'm very happy with the soft tyres at the moment, and George Russell here is about to make an overtake on Carlos Sainz, and he does just that there, but it's a little bit of a scrappy one there, both compromising each other at the last corner, and that really gave me a great opening here to have a go at Sainz. So we're going to open up the DRS here, but Sainz has got the DRS himself. He's also got the slipstream of George Russell, but the both of us having DRS is really closing us here on George Russell. Russell goes slightly defensive. I spot that and go towards the inside line on George Russell and make that overtake on Sainz, make the overtake on Russell, back end sides a little bit for good measure, and we get the overtake done. Sainz gets in front of George Russell still. You can see in the background there, Russell now has to fight off Sainz even more, and that just gives me the opportunity to blast away, and the Mercedes 1-2 is now gone. They don't have it anymore, and George Russell gets past Carlos Sainz, but unfortunately not the way he would have wanted. Ricciardo now is going to get past Carlos Sainz, and that's going to be him up a position, or not quite though, because he locks up into the last corner. Free overtake there for Sainz. Meanwhile for us though, we've now got the DRS here, and we're clearing the second floor to Pierre Gasly here, as we now blast down the straight here with the DRS, opening it up. Sam is also making an attack on Daniel Ricciardo in the background as well, as Ricciardo lost out and went a little bit wide there. We're going to go back now, and Sam does indeed blast past with DRS, which was expected, because they're in that huge lockup there from Daniel Ricciardo. So costly error there has caused Daniel Ricciardo to lose a place, and now here's George Russell about to make his move on Pierre Gasly. Hopefully it's a simpler one than what it has been in the past, but Gasly though, not quite going to give this one up without a fight here. Gasly just about defends the position there versus George Russell. Now it's a drag race on the straight here, and Gasly in the Ford does have the DRS. Decent straight line speed in that car, and he's going to try and breeze on through. He does so. Gasly, in fairness to him, has just got past George Russell, and Russell is stuck even longer now as the other Ford of Carlos Sainz is getting involved with Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo trying to have a look here, but Sainz fends off the position, so great effort there from Sainz. Sam has got past. Now that's compromised him. Hamilton now is going to come into the fray here, so the other McLaren looks like he fancies a run on Ricciardo and goes towards the outside line here on the Australian. Who's going to come out on top in this battle then? It is going to be... No, I can't even call this one. Hamilton was in front, but Ricciardo got a great run through the middle sector. And now as they go in towards this difficult right-hander, it's going to be Ricciardo who's just going to keep his nose in front. But this is very reminiscent to the Rosberg and Vettel act here. But Ricciardo looks like he's just got a little... No, Hamilton's still got a little bit in there, actually. Hamilton now goes down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo, and he is going to make the move stick, although they're still side by side. So fair play to these two cars for carrying this on. And Hamilton looks like he's just about going to win this fight out of here. Up the inside he goes, blocks off Ricciardo with a good defensive piece, gets the job done. Fantastic battle in there between those two, and we're still carving our way through the one-stoppers. We've got Devon Butler to deal with in the Audi. First time that we're meeting up with one of the F2 boys that has jumped up into Formula 1, and we're going to make light work of Devon as we open up the DRS, close the DRS, blast past the Audi of Devon Butler, and that is a comfortable move past him. And you can see that we're really making strides away from the Mercedes of Russell and the McLaren, sorry, of Sam. Speaking of Carlos Sainz though, this guy just doesn't want to back off. In the first race for Ford, he just wants to have some fun. Ocon goes down the inside and towards the final corner here. Now Carlos Sainz is in a little bit of pressure, but unfortunately actually for Sainz, he's going to have to come into the pits. Lewis Hamilton though has got the DRS here on Ocon. No one else has got DRS on anybody, and as you can see, Hamilton is going to go towards the outside line here. Fernando Alonso, who we haven't actually caught up on at all in this Grand Prix, is getting caught up with Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche now, as Fernando Alonso, struggling for performance here, goes around the outside, but it's Pascal Wehrlein's outside line maneuver that works well for him. But meanwhile, the battle which is going on behind me for P3 is between Sam and George Russell, and Sam has picked up the pace in this middle stint, and as you can see, here comes the McLaren now, jukes over, was going to go to the outside, fakes though, dummies to the inside. Great bit of innovation there for Sam as he now tries to go side by side, swoops around the outside, gets the position on George Russell. Fantastic overtake there in the McLaren for Sam. You'll have to watch out for that attempt of a re-overtake in towards turn 4, or the attempt at the re-overtake now, because a lap later, George Russell is going to come back at Sam and try and make that move stick and get in front. Will he go towards the outside or the inside? He commits himself to the outside, whereas Sam obviously juked him, was going to go to the outside. Fate went back to the inside. Now, as you can see here, Sam just about defends the position there. George wasn't quite as committed as Sam was in his attack. Now we move on to lap 17 of the Grand Prix, and once again going wide on the exit that corner. We're coming in for our second pit stop, and as you saw, we were in the race lead, and one man that I've not really mentioned at all in this race is the race leader, Reese. Now, Reese started on the super soft tyres. In his first pit stop, he pitted for another set of super soft tyres. He's coming to the pits, and now he's going to the end of the race on the medium tyres, meaning that at the end of this race, we're now going to have the tyre advantage. In the middle stint, Reese had it. Now in the final stint, we're going to have it. That's Reese there just in front of the Ferrari. Also, meanwhile, we did get held up by the McLaren of Sam in the pit stops, which was a little bit of a pain here as we're going to get super close here to Valtteri Bottas. That was so close to contact there between myself and the Audi, but round the outside we go on Bottas. Hold the position nicely, but now Valtteri is going to come back at us because the Audi has got more straight line speed than us. I think, in fact, probably every car on the grid has more straight line speed than our Red Bull. It's not that good in a straight line. It's just so fast everywhere else. And when I mean that, I'm not in the... Bottas is not in the slipstream, but he's got DRS, and the raw power of that thing really gets close there. But as we go in towards the first corner, no can do. And there is Reese, medium tyres confirmed. Now we're going to go and try and catch him and make the overtake on Reese here and see if we could try and win this Bahrain Grand Prix. And weirdly enough, one lap later, we are now right behind him. So this was something that I wasn't quite expecting. And as we go on to the start-finish straight, you'll understand why it was so easy for me to catch Reese. But as we go now in towards the final corner here, we're now going to just try and get a clean exit. We do just that. We're trying to save a bit of fuel and ERS here. Ocon, unfortunately for the Renault, is out of this Grand Prix. New personal best lap here. And now as we're going to try and get the run on Reese, have a look at Reese's front right end plate. There it is. It's gone missing. So Reese has had a collision somewhere on track. The race leader, he's lost his end plate, and that has really hampered his straight line speed before. His just overall performance. We've now nicked the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix, but Reese will try and come back at us into turn 4. Remember, he's compromised in terms of that downforce, but he's not compromised with that power unit, which has really improved from last season. And now, as you can see, we go flying through in towards the middle sector, and you could just see from this helicopter shot, which, by the way, on F1 2019, I don't actually remember seeing helicopter cams. If they're not in 2019, I can't remember, please can we have them back in 2020, because this is gorgeous. But you can already see the amount that we're pulling away. In fact, 2 laps later, the gap is up to 2 seconds. Although it's no longer up to 2 seconds because the Williams car of Lando Norris is out, and that has now caused a full course caution. Safety car is out, and very late on in the race here, which is going to be bad in a sense for us, but also really bad for Reese because Sam is on the back of Reese. And now with Reese having that front wing end plate damage, he's now got to do the rest of the race on medium tyres, and a damaged front wing end plate is not, hopefully, it's not going to end terribly for him. but it might just do. As we're now going to get back racing once again, going to instantly get away from the slipstream here, but Reese is going to tuck it into that slipstream. He's got the straight line speed in the Mercedes car to try and come at me. Sam will stick to the outside line. Reese there has a little look towards the outside line, but we just about managed to defend the position. I was using every bit of engine power I had available in my Red Bull to stay in front of that Mercedes, and you can already see, look, the disadvantage that Reese has got with that end plate just not there for him. And now, as you can see, in towards turn 4, Reese locks up though, goes wide, and unfortunately he's lost to Russell, he's lost out to Sam, and he's going to lose out to the Audi there of Bottas. So Reese, costly error there, costing him valuable places in this Grand Prix. But lap 26 now of this Grand Prix, and Sam, look, is right behind us in the McLaren. The two title protagonists from last year are coming back at it again this year to go for a fight. Apart from the fact I'm in a different team, Sam remains with McLaren, but George Russell is still right there as well. So this is a three-way fight now to the finish. We get a rubbish exit out of turn 2. Sam gets a phenomenal exit as we make the run up towards turn 4. Sam with the McLaren engine just so much faster, but we get very late on the brakes here. Sam tries to do a cutback on us. It doesn't work out in his favour, but we are now, what was a comfortable race really it was going to be, and now on the edge of our seats because we have to defend against Sam. Here he comes again now. Last corner goes Sam here, down the inside, but it's not going to work out for him. We do defend the position, but he still sticks it side by side. You can see it there. Now it's a straight drag race, and that McLaren is so much faster in a straight line. I had to try and defend it, and here goes Sam now in the McLaren, takes the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix, but we're going to try and hold it here, and he takes that acute angle into the first corner. We could take a wide line here, carry the speed through, and that is what we needed, and Sam now unfortunately loses the position there to ourselves. We defend that one nicely, and with George Russell on his back, you can see there we're trying to defend the position. And speaking of George Russell, he's going to try and get a bit of revenge for earlier on, as Sam now is under pressure from George. DRS has been re-enabled now in this Grand Prix. Here goes Russell towards the inside line. George Russell in the Mercedes-Benz comes back at Sam now, and there you can see the overtake done. Sam tries to try and fend the position off, but he can't do so. Russell gets the overtake done. Sam's got a good run though up towards turn 4, so he could make this one stick. But onto the final lap of the Grand Prix now. There is just half a second in between myself and George Russell, another 6/10 between myself and Sam. One more corner to go. A little bit wide on the exit there, a bit shaky through the final corner, but we are going to do it and win the first round of Season 4 with Red Bull. Get in there. A really, really close and intense race there between myself, between Sam, Ricciardo, Reese we had a good fight with, George Russell we had to fight with as well. It was a great race all round. You're going to see how close it was. 1/10 across the line between myself and George Russell, 6/10 between myself and Sam, 6/10 between the top 3. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But there is the full race results for you there. What we're going to do now is go into the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship and the post-race notebook and wrap up today's episode. That was a close one. Alright then guys, so let's have a look then at the Drivers' Championship after round number 1 of the F1 season. And obviously, the championship is going to stay the same because of course, it's only round 1. Now, for the F1 journey as well for the season, we are doing an extra point for the fastest lap of the race. That has been included. The man that set the fastest lap of the race was Lewis Hamilton. However, he did finish outside the top 10 after having to make an emergency pit stop after the safety car. So that does mean that nobody gets the fastest lap point for the first round. But as you can see, the championship says that it is. We lead the championship by 25 points after taking the race win. George Russell snatching P2 from Sam, meaning he's on 18 points and Sam is on 15. A very strong race for Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault. Very, very active in the first 2 stints. And then unfortunately, he just dropped away in that final stint as the pace from the Mercedes, Red Bulls and McLarens came into their own. Reese with the damage on the front wing probably could have won that Grand Prix today. Unfortunately, he doesn't win it though. And he langers down in P5 with Valtteri Bottas in P6 with a great drive for Audi. Really, really well done. Also, great job for the 2 Porsche cars as well with Nico Rosberg and Pascal Wehrlein both picking up some solid points there. Devon Butler picking up his first points in Formula 1 for Audi, and Fernando Alonso just about clawing a points finish for Ferrari, which is a very, very big disappointment considering all the hype that was built around them in pre-season. But unfortunately, it's not the case for them. Now, having a look at the Constructors' Championship, and despite the win for Red Bull, they are not top of the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes-Benz are top of the Constructors' Championship, where they are on 28 points. Red Bull are just 3 points behind with 25, obviously. Russell and Reese both scored today. Only I scored points in the Red Bull today. So that means that Mercedes are top. McLaren are on 15 points. Renault are there on 12. Audi and Porsche are together with 10 points. And then Ferrari are there with 1 point. So that is it for the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship for the F1 journey. Round number 1 here at Bahrain. Let's go and have a look at the post-race notebook and see all of the fallout from the race and find out where we heading into the next race. Alright, so we're here now at the post-race notebook, and let's have a look at the fallout from the Bahrain Grand Prix. First things first, Tom was absolutely delighted to kickstart his brand new season with a race win for Red Bull. He said that he was very, very happy with his overall performance. He felt in the first stint he lacked a lot of pace and was just struggling to get the super soft tyres to work for him. But as soon as he switched over to those soft tyres, he felt way more comfortable and felt that he could control the race and come and fight back versus the Mercedes cars and also Sam in the McLaren as well. Now, heading over to Mercedes, the biggest problem for them was their issue with Reese. Now, in the race, we saw that Reese had a clear pace advantage versus the rest of the pack. It was a Mercedes front row lockout, yet Mercedes only got one car on the podium, and that is something that Toto Wolff was not happy with. The first thing was that Reese never actually realised that he had front wing damage in the first place. Now, this is kind of strange because surely the team would have told Reese that he had front wing damage. That suggests to us that the Mercedes also had a telemetry issue, which meant that they couldn't actually feed the information to Reese. So as Reese was doing everything he could to struggle with the complete lack of downforce that he had, obviously he couldn't tell the team this because the telemetry had gone. That's what we suspect, but Mercedes haven't commented on this. In fact, it was quite hard to get any comments from Mercedes at all, to be honest, in the race, apart from George Russell picking up a P2. However, what they did say is that they did admit to the strategy error for Reese, which did cost him the win. And that was obviously going from a set of super softs to another set of super softs to a set of mediums. It was clearly better to do what Tom and Sam did, and also George Russell, was to do super softs and then 2 sets of softs. Sure, Reese got the advantage in the middle stint of using the super softs, but at the end of the race, when the fuel is at their lightest and the car is at their fastest, and you can be more durable on your tyres, the soft tyres were just a better choice. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out for them. But that is going to be everything here for round number 1 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. Next time around, we're going to be heading over to Sao Paulo for the Brazilian Grand Prix. So hopefully you can come and tune in for that next race. And I will see you guys then. Take care all. Peace.